Omelets out of the studio this morning. We're at the Louisville Tennis Center to interview a fascinating gentleman by the name of Bobby Riggs, who's going to play here shortly. And he's well known for being a U.S. champ, Wimbledon champ. Have a seat, Bobby. Rest yourself. You've had so many unusual experiences when you have played, and I guess you dream them up yourself. What would you say is the most unusual conditions under which you play tennis?
Oh, golly, one time way back, Frank Ernst and I played that great doubles team of Jack Kramer and Ted Schroeder, who were national champions at that time. And we started in a pouring rain, and we must have played through the heaviest rainstorm we've ever seen. Actually, was a foot of water on the court before we finished. That was one of the most unusual for championship kind of tournament play. But you've probably heard a lot about my handicap matches. I played just the other day with a 9-month lion cub that eats about 14 pounds of meat a day, and my opponent was so scared of him that I might let him get away from the leash that I won pretty easily with that one.
I've also heard about the one that you played with your son. You were playing doubles, and you switched with just one racket, and you switched back and forth?
Yeah, that's a tough handicap. I could play with you, and we could play two very good players if they only had one racket between them and had to alternate shots. In other words, when you hit a shot, now give it to the other one. That's very hard to do. Try that sometime.
Did you have to train your son quite a bit to get the hang of it?
Yes, I did, and he catches on pretty fast, and he's a pretty good player, so we've had a lot of fun with that one. The latest one is I put chairs on the court, and I put all sorts of things, make an obstacle course out of it, you might say, because if you get too many chairs out there, your opponent can hit the chairs, you stumble into them, and it's very difficult to play with too many chairs. Just recently, out in Las Vegas, I played those two great entertainers, Paul Anka and Stevie Lawrence, and I gave them my whole alley court, the whole court. I hit in their whole court. I had 9 chairs on the court. I sat down in the chair to receive their serve, and I carried a suitcase in my left hand. I beat them, but it was tough.
Do you mind being billed as a hustler? That's really what a lot of people call you. Does that offend you?
No, when you're a millionaire, being called a hustler doesn't bother you too much. It's only if you're broke and you're looking to win $40 from somebody, and then they call you a hustler, then you're in trouble. See?
I guess you wouldn't answer, or I shouldn't ask, what's the most you've ever bet, or what's the most you've ever lost on a wager?
That's just a real deep secret. But let's say this. I'm known as a big plunger when it comes to making bets.
Well, now, they say you use a lot of psychology, as you showed supposedly with the match with Margaret Court. You won it, and you've been referred to as Muhammad Ali on the tennis court. Now, the fact that you gave her the flowers, do you think that really upset her quite a bit?
I think it unnerved her so much that she was never able to get back on the railroad tracks again. She just was so pleased and so flustered, and she blushed, and she was so lovely. She gave me a little curtsy for the lovely bouquet of roses, and I think, my gosh, I'm going to play this old guy. I've got to take it easy on him. Wasn't that nice of him to give me the flowers? And I said to Pat Summerall, the announcer at the time, I said, Pat, do you think the roses are going to soften her up a little bit? And he says, I don't think so.
Critics say that that match really did not show who was the superior of the two, the male or the female, because you had a woman who was playing a man's game and a man playing a woman's game. What's your response to that?
My response to that is that on that day, there wasn't any question about who was the better player. Now, if we played again, as I said after the match, I said this wasn't the real Margaret Court. I don't know why, but she became... She got nervous, she got uptight, and she couldn't find herself. She never put it together again. Now, I said, Margaret Court has such a great record, such a beautiful player, that there's no way that she isn't a lot better than this. And if we were to play again, say next week, she could go out there and play so well, she might beat me just as easily as I beat her. And I think a lot of people believe that. But you know, the funny thing about the match faith is everybody call it the greatest hustle of all time, right in front of 60 million people. I had built the matchup that I was the underdog, that she was going to beat me. I was an old guy and really didn't have much of a chance. I was just going to fight and try real hard. I was going to show all the old guys around the country what a 55-year-old guy can still do. And so I was carrying the banner for the guys, and she was carrying the banner for the girls. So we had kind of a victory for the guys over the gals. I consider it that way.
Sometimes you hear a lot of things that happen to women when they really get uptight on the court. Do you think that women in the area of tennis are more emotional than men?
I don't see why they should be any more than the women golfers are, or the women wrestlers, or whatever women do in sports. They do their thing, and I think that everything is equal. There's no reason for them to get any more nervous than a man gets. We have the same nervous system. It's just seems that I've been a money player all my life, and I do well when there is something very, very important at stake, and this was an important occasion. And on the other hand, as great as she is, she had a record. She has a history of having, once in a while in that background of hers, of getting nervous and playing a poor match. And this is what she did this time. We didn't see the really great Margaret Court. But she is. She's got a fantastic record, the best record of all time for ladies in tennis. And she wants another crack at me. And you know what she said when she got to Rome? She says, my gosh, there's 7 gals on the tour can beat Bobby Riggs. And she says, I couldn't believe anybody could hit the ball that slow. She says, we girls hit the ball a lot harder than that. She said it was all a bit sneaky of him.
Now, what about the match that you've got planned for September with a gal by the name of Chris Everett? Is that still settled for a prize winning of $50,000? Now, will your game plan be different in that match?
Well, in the first place, it isn't set yet. After all, you know, I'm the Jane L. Sullivan of the women's tennis world now, and I'm waiting now. I consider myself the champ of women's tennis. So I'm waiting now for the best gal to become the #1 challenger. It could be Billie Jean King. It could be Chrissy Everett. Who knows, it might be that lovely Miss Goolagong from Australia. Virginia Wade is very tough from Great Britain. And you know the thing I'm going to do, Faith? I'm going to take a world tour, and in every country that I go to, I'm going to play their #1 tennis player from that country. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I love to travel. I've got rackets and suitcase, and I'm ready to go. I just renewed my passport.
Good. I was reading a book you wrote some time back, Tennis is My Racket, and in that, your first wife was in the process of feeding you vitamins then. Now, according to something I read recently, you take over 400 a day. Were you taking that many then, or you always have taken a lot of vitamins?
No, I never took that many until about 8 weeks before the match. I found this great nutritional scientist in California, and he recommended this program to me, and he said, if you continue this, he says, I'll make you 10 or 15 years younger, and there's no way that Margaret Court can beat you. So I said, are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? He says, what do you mean? I said, well, this is an expensive program the way you want to do it, and I said, I'll give you half the money now, and nothing if I don't beat Margaret Court. The only way you're going to get the rest of the money is if I win. Then I'll be so happy I won't mind paying you. So he took it up on that terms, and I'm happy to say the guys made me feel 10 or 15 years younger, and there's one thing I have to do, Faith. I have to retract that statement that I made in the papers. You know, I filed an application to be a Virginia Sims tournament player because I said on the grounds, look, you get 55 years old, there's really no more sex involved, so why shouldn't you gals let me play with you, know? But since then, I've had so many letters saying that Riggs doesn't know what he's talking about. There's plenty of sex after 55. So I want to retract the statement. I was just saying that with tongue in cheek, and I want to say this. Life really begins at 55, and because I'm taking all my vitamin pills, I must say sex is better than ever.
What kind are you taking, Bobby, and how many do you take at a time?
Oh, listen, that's the secret, boy. Well, I might come out with the Bobby Riggs vitamin pill one of these days, and you'll find out. Right. Well,
do you want to make any predictions, or you just are quite confident on whoever it is you face next time around?
No, I say that they're going to put up a contender who will give me a real battle. And again, I think the eyes of the world will be honest. We'll probably have TV coverage, and press will be there, and we'll make it a fascinating, fantastic kind of a setting like we had this last time at San Diego Country Stage. It was a beautiful place to play a match. Did you see it on TV?
Yes.
And it was just like playing a center court at Wimbledon. It couldn't have been more beautiful. I'm looking forward to it. I'll let the girls scratch and fight it out between now and late September. See, I'll sit back and say, come on, girls, fight it out. Who gets me next? See?
Well, thanks,
Meantime,
Bobby.
I'll keep up my vitamin pill program, and I'll tell you that life is beautiful at 55, more exciting now than ever. And my message to all the old guys is around, don't give up, don't sit in that rocking chair, get lots of exercise, get out, do things, stay active, travel, have fun, and keep going. And let's be like the King of Sweden, be going strong at 90.
Thank you so much, Bobby Riggs, for an
Wonderful.
interview from the Louisville Tennis Court. More of Omelet right after this break.